Back on the MSG 150 at home presented by Chase, Bill Pito, Michelle Gingras, and Alan Hahn. And it's great to say hello to the new general manager officially of the New Jersey Devils, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom, congratulations on the promotion, the official title, and thanks so much for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure, guys. I appreciate that. I'm very excited. I will say that 2 days ago, the interim tag was lifted, but my duties haven't changed, and I haven't felt any different, to be honest with, in the last 6 months. So, but I appreciate it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Now, you've already made a huge decision. You guys have hired Lindy Ruff to be your new coach. Why was he the guy to get the job?
Well, I think Lindy's track record obviously speaks for itself as a head coach in the National Hockey League for as many years. She's 19 years. He's passionate. He's got an infectious personality. He's a leader. He's very clear messaging wise. He's got a presence. What I was looking for when this process started was somebody with NHL head coaching experience. So I started from there and talked to a lot of candidates. But as each step went on, Lindy just continued to kind of rise above, and it came very obvious to me that this was a guy that I could partner with and work with. You have a collaborative type model between he and I, management and coaching staff, on development, where we are with our young prospects. And every conversation I had, it was just evident to me that this person believes in exactly what we do as a group in New Jersey, and how we want to move forward with our young players and where we see our team. From that point on, I pushed them into Marty Berdour's lap and said, Marty, I'd like you to talk to Lindy, and I know you know him a little bit, but I really wanted you to know him, get to know him as a head coach. And Marty came out of that conversation with thumbs up. And then from there we pushed, we recommended Lindy speaking to our ownership group. And everybody felt exactly the same way, which was awesome to hear. And like I said, it just, it really, even right now speaking about it, I get so excited about the potential here with this coach, with Lindy, with our young prospects and what we have coming. The future is very bright in New Jersey.
Future is very important, obviously, with your organization and where you guys are right now. And probably the most beneficial thing for you now, removing the interim tag, is not only now can you get to work as the GM knowing that you're going to be there for a long term, but also you've been there. So a lot of times a new GM comes in and he has to assess everything from top to bottom and make decisions on what kind of fingerprints he wants to put on the team. You've been there, so you know everything about the team. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you about was, with all the high draft picks you have already on your NHL roster, what about organizational depth, and how much of an emphasis are you going to put on that now going forward?
Great question. You're right. I do know the organization inside and out, being here in my fifth year. And the positives and some areas we've got to kind of polish up. As far as, you're right, the young talent that we have is obvious, on our roster today. I believe this organization does have depth through the draft that we've had over the last few years. We've got players that are playing in Binghamton that we believe as an organization have a chance to be NHL players. Now, what roles will they play? That's going to be different. But playing in the National Hockey League, we do feel like we have depth. Unfortunately, the season got paused there, and then eventually we got pushed aside. But the goal in the last month was to see some of these young kids come up, reward them with games played, see what we have under the hood at the NHL level, and then put them back down to Binghamton and continue the great run that we had there, led by Mark Dennehy, our head coach, and see what we can do in the playoffs. That was the plan. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition, and here we are. But that doesn't change the fact that we as an organization believe that we do have some young players that we have in Binghamton that can push for a job. And that's the most important thing in an organization, is you want that depth pushing up from underneath, and really pushing the guys in National Hockey League roster to, hey, let's get it going, or we've got replacements. And we feel that's where we are.
Going back to Lindy, you mentioned that collaborative mindset that you guys both share. I'm curious, when he was an assistant coach with the Florida Panthers, you were a player on that team. So seeing him as a coach, maybe he wasn't the head coach at that time, but in that coaching capacity firsthand, did that help you make this decision?
No, not at all, to be quite honest. It was, Lindy and I crossed paths how many years ago? I mean, it was 1992, 93.
It's just yesterday,
Lindy,
Tom.
Yeah,
it is.
that's a long time.
Feels like yesterday.
I feel the same way, right? Lindy was a very young coach at the time. He was right out of playing and stepped behind the bench as an assistant coach there. He was almost just a quasi player / coach because he still had that player mentality with pranks, played cards with the guys in the back of the plane. Roger Nielsen would have to tell him, stop taking all the guys' money. You're affecting Bill Lindsay's game. You can't do that. But it really did it, Michelle. Lindy left us in year 5 to go to Buffalo as a very young coach. And his track record, like he's chasing, arguably for me, the best National Hockey League coach in Al Arbor. I'm biased, of course. I played for Al for 5 years. That stands alone and really tells you how good of a coach Lindy is. And like I said earlier, I really wanted NHL experience. I wanted somebody behind the bench, and he obviously has NHL head coaching experience. But more as important, it was the personality. It was the mentorship, the leader, the person who almost like a father figure to our young players. Being with Lindy for 4 years in Florida had no effect at all on. I knew his personality. I knew the person. Lindy's a great coach, but he's an even greater person, and that's important when we're trying to put together the stuff.
Tom, one thing is certain: the birds in your backyard are very happy about the hire.
You know what? They are. They're chirping. I thought maybe the earplugs would help, but they're chirping away for me.
When you look at the cap situation, you guys have a ton of cap room, but if the new CBA gets ratified, that could impact things. So how do you go about approaching the economics of all of this?
Back in January, when I presented to my ownership my plan, I call it my blueprint on where I felt we were, where we can go, and how we can get there in short steps, and not sell ourselves short by prolonging things. I felt that we were in a learn the win phase here, the remainder of this past season, going into next season. What I mean by that is, I look at the team that made the playoffs a couple of years back, and that was a learn the win phase. We scratched and clawed to stay in it all year, and that's where I see this team. Now with the new landscape, potential new landscape we believe is going to happen, it does give us different options to, and I don't want to say fast forward the process, but it may allow us to take a couple bigger steps if the right thing came our way to help really push this process along just in smaller increments. But we're excited about what potentially can be there for the New Jersey Devils starting in the off season, whenever that is.
It was somewhat of a challenging rookie year for your number 1 pick, Jack Hughes. Just a lot for an 18-year-old, I feel like, to digest and get up to speed with in general. And obviously huge outside expectations for him. And I'm sure internally as well, your own expectations. As he looks to make the jump in year 2, what are you hoping to see from him?
Well, expectation-wise from the organization, we're pretty simple. This is an 18-year-old kid coming from the USHL that no other player has ever done. So anything he could do above and beyond what we thought, whether that's production-wise, was gravy for this kid. It was important for us to get Jack, get his feet wet in the National Hockey League, really manage his ice time and his who he was playing against, things like that, timing of more power play, things like that. We could manage that, and that was really important. But for Jack, he's a highly competitive person, a highly competitive player, and that's what drives those top athletes, is their competitiveness. So, yeah, Jack would tell you he's disappointed with the production, but he shouldn't be. He's, like I said, he's an 18-year-old coming straight from the U.S. Hockey League, USHL. This summer coming up, it's a big off season for him, and he knows that, and it's an opportunity for him to get bigger, to get stronger, and it's only going to help what he has as a package as a hockey player.
Tom, we'll leave it there. It is so great to have you on, and congratulations again on getting the official GM title, hiring a new coach, and have a great summer. Stay well and stay healthy, most importantly of all.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, up next here on the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. We all know Patrick Ewing was the #1 overall pick in 1985, but is there a story behind the story? We'll discuss coming up.